Hey everyone, welcome back to another Pushing Film live stream. I hope you're all doing well. Today's live stream is one of those latest pickups types of videos, as you probably guessed from the title, and it's mainly to do with photo books. So as you can see in the thumbnail, which I have here, if you haven't seen it, just a little pile of photo books. I went a bit crazy recently with the photo books, and there's a reason why. Some of these were real bargains, including one of them was about $4, believe it or not, for a legit photo book. So more on that in a bit, but stick around if you want to hear about the bit of the story about why I got so many photo books in the last few months. I guess compared to some people, maybe it's not so many, but for me, this is quite a few books to get within a few months. Anyway, let me know how you're all going and what you've been up to and so on. If you're new to these live streams, just be aware that they, as I usually say, can go a little bit slower and less structured, but bear with me. And let's get straight into things. And basically I've got all these books just sort of set next to me here. I had to get a little bit of an extra table just to fit everything because some of these books are pretty big. But one thing I wanted to mention first off before all of the books was actually a zine. And that is the last zine I purchased, which is this one here. It was a zine by some friends of mine from Sydney, and it's called The COVID Sweats. And it's a funny name, and that's the Instagram name as well, The COVID Sweats. And it's basically a zine of photography made during quarantine of 2020. So just checking that the stream's bitrate's going all right. Yeah, seems okay. But yeah, this zine's got a bit of work, all sort of user submitted, various photographers submitted to it throughout 2020 of all kinds of subjects, and it's kind of organized into different sections. You got animal / abstract, and then people and so on. And just to give you a bit of an idea of it here, just a nice mixed body of work by Alan over in Sydney, and with the help also of Jackie. So that's a cool little zine, and what's especially cool about it is something I'll just show you here quickly in my browser window. That it's only $15 Australian plus shipping. And this is the web page that I put a link for in the description if you're interested in this zine. But one of the coolest things about it is that a certain portion of the proceeds from this go towards a fund for the Sydney University research into COVID-19. So you can see a little bit about that here on this webpage. And yeah, a large proportion of the sales will go towards that. As far as I know, there's either 50 or less copies of this left. So especially if you're here in Australia, I think it's a great cause. And a bunch of cool photographers contributed to this. There's a list of them here. I have a few photos in there, but you know, nothing too crazy. It's just a great, you know, like mixture of work. And you can get a bit of an idea of that here. So if you're interested in that, check out the link in the description. Grab yourself a copy before it sells out. I think it's a limited run, and it's just a nice little look back at the isolation of 2020 and how we were all initially affected by lockdowns and so on. All right. So moving on through the pile of items, let's go back to this camera. I've got some photo books that were from Amazon. And one of the first ones was Annie Leibovitz. It's called The Early Years, from 1970 to 1983. And this is a little bit different to what might be her more recent work, which is largely editorial and fashion as far as I've seen. But I'm actually more of a fan of this earlier stuff of hers, which is a little bit more leaning towards documentary. And there's a lot of, you know, of the story behind her entry into the world of photography, and you know, following along with different bands and stuff like that. And just to give you an idea of the content of this book, it's really nice. If you're a fan of Annie Leibovitz, I think this is a great one to have in your collection. Got a link for that in the description as well if you're interested. So yeah, that's the first book on the list there. Next one, you guys probably know I'm a big fan of Webb. He's my favorite street photographer, especially for color street photography. And I've already got 2 of his books. I've already shared both of those books in previous book sharing live streams, which were the Istanbul book and the mixed book, what's it called again? The Suffering of Light, which is a conglomeration of all of his work from various books. But this one is one of his more recent works, and it's actually a collaboration with his wife, Rebecca Norris Webb, and it's called Brooklyn, the City Within. It's a really nice book. If you're a fan of Alex Webb, and even if you're not, I think you'll like it. With this book, it's interesting that it's some of his more recent stuff, whereas his previous stuff was largely shot on color slide film. But with this, he would have largely been shooting on his digital Leica system. But what I love about it is it's still really cohesive with all of his past work. I was a bit worried about that initially, whether I'd still like it, because it's so much more modern and it's a different take, and it's sort of within his own neighborhood, or within their own neighborhood, sorry. I wasn't sure on this book, but I got it, and I'm really glad. I quite liked it. And I really like the sort of hybrid of his and Rebecca Norris Webb's work in the way that it's set out. You can kind of see there's like a middle section here. So it starts off with Alex's work, all obviously in Brooklyn, but really nice stuff. True to his kind of classic style, as you'd sort of expect. And then you have this middle section of Rebecca Norris Webb stuff, which is a lot more abstract. This is, again, I wasn't too sure if I would like this, but I really like the way it complements Alex's work. It's kind of like he takes you through a little bit of a journey, and then you suddenly calm down with the more poetic, introspective style of Rebecca's here, and just some really nice stuff. There's especially this great night photo in there, but I'll probably save that for a book sharing live stream later on, so I won't spoil too much. But then, yeah, it goes to a third act or chapter or whatever, and back to Alex Webb's street photography, and then it finishes up. So it's just a really nice book to have for the collection, and that's one I had on my list for a while, since I'm a big fan of Alex Webb's. Just checking some of the comments. Mitchell, how perfect was your timing of leaving Melbourne? Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to talk more about that in a little bit. Rye, late again. No worries, man. You didn't miss much. And lots of her earlier stuff feels more personable. That's in regards to Annie with Leibovitz. Yeah, I would agree. I think it's just, I don't know. It might not be for everyone, but I personally relate more to her earlier work. Nice pickup. Yeah. Good book, this one. Highly recommended. Hi from the Brazilian Amazon. Nice. That's awesome. Glad you're watching. Anyway, yeah, so on that note, we'll take a little bit of a break from the book stuff, and Mitchell mentioned how the timing of leaving Melbourne was really perfect. So if you can see in the title of this live stream, it's a little bit about that as well, about having come back from a little holiday. It was a 1-week trip I took with my partner Sarah off to Tasmania here in Australia. So I'm sure if there's a lot of you Aussies watching, you're familiar with Tasmania to some degree, but that was a great little trip. And what was interesting about it was, as soon as we left for Tassie, Melbourne went into a bit of a mini lockdown, kind of a snap lockdown, because there were a few little rogue cases of, you know, outbreaks from a hotel quarantine kind of thing. And we just managed to skip that. And that lasted for 1 week, roughly, the exact period we were off in Tasmania. Because Tasmania has no cases, we weren't any of the hotspots. We didn't have to have our trip affected in any way. And then we were able to skip right over that complete lockdown, come back when things had opened up again. So we were really grateful for that. And for the time we had in Tasmania, it was my first time there. And just to give you an idea of what we saw and some of the footage we got, which I also borrowed a drone from my friend Matt. Tasmania is beautiful, really nice, really good getaway to have had from Melbourne after it had been so long before hopping on a plane. But yeah, some of the sights and scenery we saw there were just beautiful. So I've got all this video footage that you guys can see playing here now, and I'll probably put it together for a vlog maybe next month. Vlogs tend to take a while to edit, so that's the one thing about them, because I've got to chuck together the photos that both Sarah and I shot and some of the video footage. But yeah, some of the scenery we saw were just stunning. So I'm really looking forward to putting this together and sharing some of that trip with you guys. But yeah, those mountainscapes, really good stuff. And just to give you a sneak peek of some of the photos we got, I've just got some here. This is on the 645. So I took the 645 and the Leica. That was the only two cameras I took with me. And this is some street photography in Hobart on the Leica, and it was just great to shoot in a different city. It had been so long, as I mentioned, you know, since traveling anywhere, even interstate. And then we had a little bit of a trip to Sydney, but we had to turn back on that one, so we didn't really get more than a day there. But this was really great. This is the Bay of Fires in Tasmania on Ektar 100 in the Leica. And just another shot of Sarah here in some of the great mountain scenery that we caught there. And we just drove around in a camper van. So that was really great. All right. So back to the comments. Looking forward to seeing the photos from the trip. Yeah, thanks, man. Like, we got some good ones. I'm pretty happy with what we got. And both Sarah and I shot plenty of photos. So I'll be putting that in the vlog soon. Psychic. I plan to travel around Tassie during autumn and winter at some point in the future. Yeah, man. Definitely recommend it. Anyone in Australia who wants somewhere where you can travel, like, don't neglect your own country and going interstate where you can, when borders are open. Which, in the case of Tassie, if you go in winter, I think it'll be really cold. We went just, you know, a couple of weeks ago, last week, it was summer, and it was still pretty damn cold on some days and in the mornings and some of the nights. So highly recommended. You get snow in winter as well if you go at that time. Looking forward to watching footage. Definitely a special trip. Yeah, thanks. Never been there. I should take a short trip there. Yeah, it's a short trip, 1 hour flight from Melbourne. And yeah, it's just highly underrated, I think. I'd had it on my list of places I wanted to go for such a long time. We finally got around to it. How many rolls did you take on the trip and how many did you get through? I took a bunch of rolls just to have options for variety. But in the end, I only shot, I think, 4 color rolls and 1.5 black and white 35mm rolls. So 2 120, 2 35mm color, and 1.5 35mm black and white, because one was already half shot. And yeah, it was really good. I'll just show you some of the shots again if any of you guys missed it. Yeah, that's some of the 35mm black and white stuff. The Tri-X 400 on the streets of Hobart. So I managed to shoot some scenery while we drove around last couple of days in Hobart. Shot some just black and white street stuff and even some color street stuff. But yeah, I was trying to be pretty selective. So coming back with 4 rolls of color and 2 black and white to develop at home was pretty good by my standards for a week. That was a little bit conservative. All right, now let's get back to the books. Now this is where it gets interesting. So if any of you guys stuck around from the beginning, these are some of the books I got. One of them's massive, that were pretty good deals. There was a website here in Australia called Booktopia, and I picked up some of these books for really good prices. I initially had only just gone on randomly to browse for one of these 2 books. I think the Paul Blackmore one I have here and the Colin Abbott. I was interested in buying some work by Australian photographers. I felt like I, wanted to explore more Australian photography, and I found this one, Waiting Under Southern Skies, by a photographer who I think he's based in Melbourne. I'm not sure, but a lot of the work in here is Victoria, Melbourne, which is where I live. And I just thought that was an interesting book to pick up. And funny enough, one of the photos in this book had someone that I recognized in there. And yeah, that was just a funny little coincidence. But yeah, it's just a documentary photography spanning quite a few years and decades through Melbourne and maybe even other parts of Australia. But yeah, that was a nice little book by Colin Abbott. I can recommend that one. And one of them I really had been looking forward to was this one by Paul Blackmore. It's called At Water's Edge. And if you know me, you know I'm really into photography by the waterside and water bodies. I'm not 100% sure why, but I think it's because I grew up going to a lot of different water bodies and piers and beaches and going fishing with my dad and family as a kid and spending time on the beach in Brisbane and going down to the Gold Coast and then even in various places. So I tend to be attracted to shooting by water bodies. And once I'd heard of this book, I found it on this website, Booktopia. And if any of you guys are interested, this was a really good price for this book. I actually couldn't believe it. I thought that I wouldn't actually have the order fulfilled. But Paul has shot by different water bodies from various parts of the world, including South Asia, Australia, and so on. And there's photos from Bangladesh even, where I've been before. which is full of different water bodies and rivers. And it's just a beautiful book of black and white work. Just to give you a little bit of a preview, I think I will cover this in a future book sharing live stream. But it's just great black and white documentary stuff. And it's a high quality photo book that Paul's website still actively has it for sale. Normally goes for about $70, but let's jump to the Booktopia website. And you can see it's only $9.80 Australian. So if any of you guys are watching right now, I don't know how long this will last, but it seems like it's still available. I picked up my copy a few weeks ago. I went ahead and shared it on my Pushing Film Instagram story, and I think a couple of people might have picked it up when I put it there. But I'm looking at it now, doing this live stream today, and it still seems to be available. And it's $9.80. I can't believe it. You can see the regular retail price is $77. And I kind of feel guilty having paid so little for this artist's work that he's normally selling for, you know, $77 or whatever. But yeah, that's a great deal. And they even do free shipping if you spend over $30-something. So open up a new browser tab or whatever, leave the live stream if you need to, and grab a copy of this book. I'm not sure how long it'll last. If you're watching this post live stream, I have a feeling it probably won't be available anymore. But as it stands right now, it's available for $9.80, and there's some other great deals on this website too. So jump on it. It's a great book. How many rolls? I read that comment. Goals travel around when it's snowing. Yep. Tassie in the snow. I want to go back in the snow for sure. Good to have Hashim back on the screen. Can't wait for that vlog. Thanks, man. Thanks for all your support as usual. Did you get to Mona in Hobart? Yeah, we went to Mona. It was amazing. It was the best museum I've ever been to be honest. It was great. Highly recommend Mona if you go to Tasmania. $9. Yep, it is an amazing deal. So jump on. I hope that some of you guys watching the stream are the ones to pick up whatever last copies they have of this book. And if you think that was a good deal, let's jump into the next book that I have on the table here. This one's crazy. This one was a little bit different because I've heard of this photographer before, but I wasn't much of a fan or anything. But the thing about this book, this is massive. This is a heavy 2-volume set of photo books by Albert Watson. It's called Strip Search. You kind of see that there? Yeah. This book is a big freaking book, and it's $4.90. Normally $189.99, 97% off. I put it in my basket amongst other things. I just thought, whatever, it could be a mistake. I'll hope for the best. But it arrived. It arrived a week later amongst the other books I bought. And I'm glad I got it because I didn't know much about Albert Watson. But this is a really interesting and unique body of work that he's shot on various formats. So from really small formats below 35mm, 35mm panoramic stuff, a lot of medium format, and then some great large format stuff in there as well. I'd love to show you just a little bit of it. It's a little bit awkward to handle this book, it's so big. In terms of the actual subject matter of the photography, it's all basically Las Vegas, Nevada stuff on the strip and all that, and in various establishments and clubs. A lot of it isn't necessarily something I would have gone for if it wasn't such a good deal and exposed me to Albert Watson a little bit more, because it's a lot of erotic sort of strip club stuff. But besides that, it's actually a great body of work that you can really appreciate for at least some part of it in some capacity, just to give you a rough idea. And it's just beautifully shot, really eccentric stuff. And Albert Watson, if you're not familiar, is a Scottish photographer who specializes in a lot of fashion work and art photography, fine art photography. But he's also done a lot of, what I would call documentary stuff in here. Massive 11 by 14 inch book, beautifully printed, and just a really nice variety of different stuff in this book. That's some of the stuff I mentioned there before, but it's still really quite interesting, and you'll find at least something in there that you like. There's some of the panoramic stuff. Let me switch back to this other camera, sorry, just so you can see a bit better. Yeah. So like $5? What? I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know why. And there's still some available as far as I can see. And yeah, various formats, like I said. Pretty much all would have been shot on film, as far as I know, as far as I can see from some of the indexes. Yeah, bit of a nudity there. Hopefully my video doesn't get taken down. Yeah, check it out. That's just one of the volumes, and there's another one in there. Really heavy. And yeah, can't believe I paid $4.90 for this book. Let's just find something a little bit different. Some of the portrait stuff on large format there. This is a little bit closer to what he's sort of known for. Studio style portraiture, stuff like that. Kind of that art photography style stuff. And then just some landscape on various maybe cross-processed films and stuff like that. So yeah, really interesting. You can't go wrong. So if you're here watching this, I hope you're also browsing the Booktopia website and grabbing the last copies of these two books, because it's just insane that it's down to $4.90, and it would have been a heavy book to ship. And I qualified for the free shipping because I bought Paul Blackmore and some of the other stuff. And there's some other really great books I can recommend on here as well. I don't want to go on for too long, so just browse Booktopia yourself. I'm sure you'll find at least a few books to make up the free shipping. If you're not based here in Australia, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what their shipping is overseas, but man, it is a good freaking deal. And I think Booktopia is part of the Angus and Robertson company, or a conglomerate of some of those other book companies. So yeah, I highly recommend going on and checking out their clearance sale. There's some really good bargains to be had. And again, I feel a bit bad having paid such little for some of these books, but I'm not planning on reselling them on eBay or whatever. I'm planning on keeping them on the bookshelf. So yeah, if anyone else is interested, go check it out. All right, just checking some of the comments. Someone's already ordered both the books. Great, I'm glad you got them, man. I love Albert Watson's work. Yeah, cool. So if you're already a pre-existing fan of Albert Watson, that's great. If you're not, I'll give you a little bit of an idea. I ran into a great little interview he did recently. It was the most recent interview I found. There's probably others, but this was actually in 2020, mid-2020. He's based in New York at the moment, and I've linked it in the video description. So if you want to check out this video, it's an interview with Albert Watson on the channel Masters of Photography, and he just talks a lot about his process and some of his photography is kind of shown in little clips throughout the video here, and he's even photographed
not going to be long
well-known
and so on.
celebrities.
So he's easy. Other people are more nervous. You go to the other end,
Yep.
like Joaquin Phoenix.
So Joaquin
was
Phoenix
totally
is
a
one of the
nervous
guys he
wreck.
photographed as well.
I mean, shake.
And yeah, it's great to be exposed to new artists, whether it's through finding sudden bargains like this or otherwise. So I recommend that for you guys as well. All right, Albert Watson we've covered, and the next thing I wanted to show in my little pile of recent pickups, as you might have seen in the thumbnail, is a lens that I recently got, and that is this one. So this lens was sent to me by 7 Artisans. It's the 7 Artisans M35mm F1.4 lens, and it's a Leica M mount lens. It's an f1.4. I have a 35mm lens for my Leica system already, but that's an f2.8. That's the Zeiss Bygone f2.8. So they were actually wanting to send me one of these lenses for free just for a review, which of course I'm going to say yes to, because why not? You know, I will genuinely use the lens and give my honest thoughts on it. They're not expecting me to say anything in particular. It's just try it, make a video, and let us know your thoughts. So I think after having done the Zeiss Sonar review, that was my first lens review on the channel, they might have seen that, reached out to me, sent this lens, and I'm really grateful that they did that and they reached out, and that I get to try products like this and share my thoughts with you guys. But one of the great things about it is just how well packaged it is. I haven't used it yet. It's just so well packaged, and it's got this nice leather case for the actual lens in there. I'm actually really looking forward to using this lens because I've seen other reviews of it, including one by Ben Chase on YouTube, and it just looks like a fantastic lens for the price. It's like the alternative to a Leica Summicron, a Summilux if you can't afford that. F1.4, 35mm, and for the price, it looks to be really amazing. So I'm looking forward to trying this lens out and making a review for the channel in the next couple of months, hopefully. So yeah, that's the last pickup. I think that's about it in terms of the purchases. I'll just check some of these comments. Inkfast on that interview calls out so many celebs. Yeah, he does. I think he goes on about Diana Ross and how she was like, I don't know, some kind of racist thing to do with his studio. It was interesting. So I recommend that interview. I'll put a link in the description. Second Bob, hey man, thanks for jumping on again. AG just bought 2 copies of Albert Watson. All right, nice. Yeah, I'm glad that you guys are the ones who would hopefully be purchasing these last copies of this book, or both these books rather. And there are some other pretty good bargains on there, on the Booktopia website. In terms of the other books, so the Alex Webb and Annie Leibovitz books, they were not on Booktopia, but I still put the link for them in the video description on Amazon. Both of them were a little bit discounted, so I think that, let's have a look. Alex Webb, The City Within, so I think it's $29.99 US, which is a great price considering the quality and content of this book. So I definitely recommend that if you're a fan of Alex Webb and even Rebecca Norris Webb. And then the Annie Leibovitz book wasn't too bad of a deal as well. That was really quite good. And yeah, also don't forget the COVID Sweat zine. So as mentioned before, proceeds, part of the proceeds from this zine go towards research into COVID-19 at the University of Sydney, I believe, or one of the universities. But yeah, there's a link for that to this website by Alan if you're interested in picking up this zine. And if you want to check out the Instagram page, it's called The COVID Sweats. A bit of a background into the making of the zine. And that's Alan down here. So really cool stuff for them to have put this together. If any of you Aussies want to pick up a zine looking back at the 2020 experience. Cool. Inkfast on on Diana Ross. That was an interesting insight there. So Booktopia only ships to Australia, New Zealand. Yeah. Sorry again. I would have thought that they would have been only shipping to Australia, New Zealand. So this one's for us, this bargain. So, all right, guys, let me know if there's anything else that you have any questions about, or anything that you want to talk about, what you've been up to lately, or any comments or anything like that. I think that about sums up everything I wanted to go over in this quick little live stream. It's great to be back. There has been a bit of a gap in the videos lately because of the break and going away and so on, but I'm going to try and get back on track with the videos and maybe release something roughly every week if I can. Cool. Dylan, best stores that sell photographers' zines? I don't know of any single store, to be honest, that's a good collective of zines. I know I've heard of a few, but they've escaped my mind. I can't remember the name of them. There are a few zine collectives. One of them, I think you can look up, Rewind Studio in Sydney, and they collaborate with, I think they're called Altair Zines. If they're Sydney based, I'm not too sure, but yeah, sorry, I don't have a straight answer to that. Yeah, I am going to be looking into one of those zine collective publishing nights or something that's coming up soon, so I should have more info on things like that, at least on a local basis sometime soon. All right, I think I'll probably end the stream around here. It's just hitting half an hour, so I think that's long enough. And if you guys are interested in joining the ongoing discussion, you can join the Discord server. I'll put a link for that in the description of this video, and it's free to join. You can jump on, and there's discussions on various topics, whether it's technical stuff, photo feedback, just you know, photo dump and all that sort of stuff. I'm sure you've heard me talk about this enough by now, but if you haven't, look up Discord, check the invite in the video description, and any of the information in regards to these books that I had access to, I hopefully would have put it in the video description already. And thanks as usual for joining. Inkfast, thanks for the stream. Yeah, thanks for joining. Just making sure I haven't missed anything. I don't think so. All right. So I guess I'll see you in the next video or live stream. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll catch you later, guys.